diving deep into the life and tragic end of Johnny Lewis,
Oh, yeah.
an actor you might remember from shows like Sons of Anarchy and The O.C.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people know him from those shows.
His story ends on September 26th, 2012, with his death and the murder of his 81-year-old landlady, Catherine Davis.
A case that really captivated the public's attention. And today we're going to go beyond just the headlines.
Yeah.
We're going to use an in-depth article to understand the complexities of Johnny Lewis's life,
Okay.
the factors that may have contributed to this tragic event, and ultimately what we can learn from it all.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Sounds good.
The article paints this really interesting picture of Johnny as this rising star,
Right.
but with a troubled past.
Yeah.
He was landing some significant roles in Hollywood, playing characters like Dennis Childress on the LC
Yeah.
and Kip Halfsack Epps in Sons of Anarchy, which really put him on the map.
Absolutely. And it's those roles, those charming bad boy characters that are worth examining a little closer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Think about how those roles might have influenced public perception, but also how they might have affected Johnny himself.
Right.
I mean, was he typecast? Did this typecasting limit the roles he was offered, or even affect how people interacted with him in his personal life?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And even more intriguing, did these roles somehow bleed into his real life?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
The article also mentions that Johnny grew up in a Scientology family,
Right.
which, for those unfamiliar, is a religion that's gained a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Sometimes controversial for its unique beliefs and practices.
It's definitely an element to consider.
Yeah.
While the article doesn't explicitly link his upbringing to his later struggles,
Right.
it is worth thinking about how such an environment might have shaped his worldview, his coping mechanisms and his overall development.
For sure.
And as his career progressed, the article notes that those close to Johnny, friends and colleagues, observed changes in his behavior. He was described as intelligent and creative.
But also erratic and increasingly impulsive.
This brings us to the crucial aspect of mental health,
Yeah.
which, as we know, is complex and multifaceted.
Right.
The article points out that his behavior became noticeably unpredictable in the late 2000s,
Okay.
which coincided with his departure from Sons of Anarchy. While we can't speculate on the specific reasons for his departure, it does make you wonder if there were underlying issues that weren't addressed at the time.
And the article doesn't shy away from outlining the more difficult aspects of his life.
Right.
There were multiple arrests for assault and burglary, a clear indication of difficulty controlling his impulses.
Yeah.
He also struggled with substance abuse,
Right.
a common thread we unfortunately see in many stories involving mental health challenges.
Sadly.
And even though he had a daughter,
Okay.
creating a stable life seemed to elude him.
Speaking of potential contributing factors, the article highlights a significant event, a motorcycle accident where Johnny suffered head trauma. Now, we know that traumatic brain injuries can have a profound impact on behavior, cognition, and emotional regulation. It's not saying this is a direct cause of his later actions, but it certainly raises questions about whether this injury might have exacerbated existing mental health conditions or even triggered new ones. It makes you think about the long-term consequences of such injuries and the importance of proper diagnosis and treatment.
Here's where it gets really interesting and honestly a bit heartbreaking.
Okay.
The article mentions that Johnny resisted long-term treatment and rehabilitation.
Wow.
It makes you think about the tension between personal agency and support systems.
Yeah.
When someone is struggling, how do we balance respecting their choices while also ensuring they get the help they might desperately need? It's a truly complex issue with no easy answers.
Yeah, it really speaks to the broader challenges, of mental health care access and the stigma surrounding it. Even for someone like Johnny Lewis, who seemingly had resources and a support network, getting the appropriate help can be incredibly difficult.
It's a stark reminder that mental health struggles can affect anyone,
Absolutely.
regardless of background or outward success. The article then takes us to the events of September 26, 2012.
Okay.
It describes neighbors hearing screams coming from Catherine Davis's home, leading to the horrifying discovery of her murder and Johnny Lewis's death from a fall.
The details of that day are certainly disturbing, but the autopsy report adds another layer to the story.
Okay.
It revealed that Johnny had no drugs or alcohol in his system at the time of his death.
That's a significant detail.
Yeah.
It shifts the focus away from substance abuse as a primary factor and makes a possibility of a severe psychotic episode
Right.
far more likely.
Precisely. It suggests that we're dealing with a much more complex mental health situation than perhaps initially perceived.
Yeah.
And it makes you reconsider those earlier instances of erratic behavior.
Right.
Were those warning signs of a deeper underlying condition?
And it makes the story of Catherine Davis, whom the article refers to as Miss Kathy,
Yeah.
all the more tragic. She was an 81-year-old woman known for her kindness,
Right.
renting rooms in her Los Feliz home to artists and creatives, trying to provide a supportive environment.
Her death is a heartbreaking reminder of the ripple effects of these kinds of events.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the celebrity narrative, but we can't forget the victims,
Right.
the innocent lives impacted by these tragedies.
It's easy to forget that behind the headlines are real people, real families, real lives, forever changed by these events.
Absolutely.
And it's crucial to acknowledge that Catherine, in her own way, was trying to help people like Johnny,
Yeah.
offering them a place to stay, a sense of community. And tragically, she became caught in this terrible situation.
What's so striking about Miss Kathy is that she represents a quiet kind of heroism.
Yeah.
She wasn't in the spotlight. She wasn't seeking recognition.
Right.
She was simply trying to make a difference in her own small way. And her story underscores the often unseen risks associated with helping those in need,
Right.
especially when mental health issues are involved.
After this deep dive into Johnny Lewis's life, I'm left wondering what we can truly learn from this tragedy.
Yeah.
What stands out to you? What's the most impactful part of this story?
For me, it's a stark reminder that mental health is just as critical as physical health, and that the stigma surrounding mental illness is a significant barrier to seeking help.
Yeah.
We need to foster a culture where asking for help is seen as a sign of strength, not weakness.
Right.
We need to educate ourselves, support our loved ones, and advocate for better resources and policies.
Yeah, it makes you think about all those what ifs, you know? What if Johnny had gotten help sooner? What if there was more awareness and support available?
Right, right.
What if someone had recognized the severity of his struggles and intervened?
Those are the tough questions that linger, aren't they? It's
Yeah.
impossible to know for sure, but it really underscores the importance of early intervention and having those safety nets in place. You know, we need to be more attuned to the signs of mental distress in ourselves and others, and we need to know how to reach out and offer support.
It's a tough reality to face, knowing that this tragedy might have been preventable.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to ignore the impact on Catherine Davis, Miss Kathy.
Of course.
It's heartbreaking to think about her kindness and her willingness to help others, which ultimately led to her tragic end.
Her story, while incredibly sad, reminds us that even in the darkest of times, there are everyday heroes among us.
Yeah.
People like Miss Kathy who open their hearts and homes to others even when it comes with risks. She reminds us that compassion and empathy are powerful forces,
Yeah.
and that even small acts of kindness can make a difference.
Johnny Lewis's story is a stark reminder that everyone has a story beyond the headlines.
Absolutely.
A story that's often more complex and nuanced than we initially perceive.
Yeah.
This deep dive has challenged us to look beyond the surface, to consider the multifaceted factors that contribute to these tragic events, and to recognize the importance of mental health awareness and support.
It's a call to action for all of us.
Yeah.
What can we do individually and collectively to ensure that those struggling get the help they need before it's too late?
Right.
How can we create a society where mental health is treated with the same urgency and compassion as physical health?
Yeah.
These are the questions we need to grapple with.
For sure.
And ultimately, the answers will determine how we prevent future tragedies like this from happening.
This has been a heavy but important deep dive.
Yeah, it has.
We hope it's left you with some things to ponder, some questions to ask, and perhaps even a renewed sense of purpose when it comes to mental health awareness and support.
I hope so too.
Thanks for joining us.
If you enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into more cases like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like the video if you found the story compelling, and share it with your friends and family who might be interested in true crime and mysteries. By subscribing, you'll stay up to date with all our latest content and join a growing community of curious minds exploring the most fascinating cases. Click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything.